Hello everybody, welcome back. Matthew Gaming here. In today's video, this is the last episode of ranking all Clash Royale cards of January 2024. I hope you enjoy. Alright, first up today we got the Monk. The Monk is a 5-cost champion and he's going in B tier because he has quite a bit of damage, and every third hit he has triple damage, which is nice and is great for taking out tanks because when he does that third damage, it also knocks them back, even like almost twice as much as the log. So it's like a knockback menace, and also his ability that can reflect projectiles is very handy. But overall, without the ability, even against splash troops like Skeleton Army, the ability won't kill them because the Skeleton Army's hit aren't projectiles. So those other things will easily deal with the Monk, which is why it's going in B because there's lots of solid counter. Next we have the Evolved Mortar. The Evolved Mortar is going to go in A tier. It has quite a bit of health, and the Goblin makes it very good. However, I would like to see it spawn a Goblin applying death. But anyways, even with that, it's still very good against, and you can also use it on offense and defense, which is why it's going in A tier. Next we have the Mortar. Mortar is not as good as the Evolved Mortar, obviously, but it's basically just the Evolved Mortar without the Goblin, so it's going to go in B tier instead. Next is the Mother Witch. Mother Witch is also going to go in B tier. I like the fact that she turns troops into hogs, but against like big troops, against skeletons, she's so strong. But against tanks and like high hit point units, high hit point troops, it's going to be fairly useless because she does fairly low damage. So you need to pair her up with tanks and high damage dealers, so she'll just turn troops into hogs faster. Next we got the Musketeer. Musketeer is going to go in A tier. It's pretty decent. Also, I think I'm going to move also in the first video, someone commented the Leap Barbarian should move up, so I'm going to put them at B tier. Okay, anyways, moving on. Next, we have the Musketeer. The Musketeer is very good. For Far Elixir, it's one of the best damage dealers in the game. It's pretty decent because she has long range too. And overall, there's so many reasons why she's good. And she can even attack ground and air as well. And she's great at taking out things like minions and just overall lowering most Fireball Elite troops' health, which is why she's going to go in A tier. Next we got the Night Witch. Night Witch, compared to the regular Witch, I actually find her a little bit worse, even though she has she has less HP than the regular Witch, or maybe, actually I'm not sure, but anyway, even though she costs 4 elixir, she still dies fairly fast when going up against splash troops, and I just find her less appealing than the regular Witch, even though the regular Witch may dive a lot faster, or may have less hit points, but I don't really know. I still just find the regular Witch better. So next is the PEKKA. PEKKA is going to go in B tier. Again, it's pretty balanced. It's great against taking out medium troops and small, but against small troops, Skeleton Army, RIP. So yeah. Next we have the Phoenix. Phoenix, when it was released, it broke the game. But now I feel like it's just A tier because it's nowhere near as good as it was when it was released, when it broke the game. But overall, it's still 4 elixir, and it's still, even though the egg HP lost a lot, so it can be taken out by like a log and Barbarian Barrel, it's still very good because the second Phoenix will respawn, even though it's 80% of the original Phoenix's health. It's still almost the same, which is why it's going to go in A tier because of that respawning your Phoenix ability. If that ability didn't exist, it probably would have been in B tier or maybe even C tier. Next we have the Poison. Poison is gonna go in S tier. It's definitely one of the strongest spells because of how versatile it is and how big of a radius it is. So it could, and the fact that it's ticks, all 8 ticks, and it's great against things like Witch, Musketeer, or just any other Fireball Elite. Next we have the Prince. Prince is gonna go in C tier, even though it is pretty bad. It's similar to the PEKKA. It's good against medium or big troops, but it's still worse because it's so easy to distract, unlike the PEKKA. Well, I guess you can say something about PEKKA, but I just feel like the Prince Revive Elixir is so easy to kill, and it just dies so fast. So that's gonna go in C tier. Next we have the Princess. Princess is gonna go in B tier. She has incredible range and decent damage, but she has so little HP that it should be taken out by anything. Like Log, Barbarian Barrel. Well, not Barbarian Barrel, but the Goblin will take out the Princess. I mean, the Barbarian will take out the Princess, but you know what I mean. She's so easy to kill, and I just believe that she's quite weak. Next, we have the Rage Spell. Rage Spell is got a nerf a couple days ago in the January season, but even with that, it's still very good against things like Balloon, like because you can, or Hog Rider, because you can, like if they have a Skeleton Army, you can use the Rage Ball on the Skeleton Army to kill it and to get the bonus Rage effect. That's why it's gonna go in B tier, because if you mess it up, it's pretty bad. But again, it only costs 2 elixirs, so I think I'm gonna move it up to A. Next, we have the Ram Rider. Ram Rider with the Snare ability. She's definitely quite strong, but other than that, she's easy to shut down with things like Electro Wizard. So I'm going to put her in C tier because it's also quite expensive at 5 elixir. Next, we have the Rascals. Even with the recent buffs, they're still one of the worst cards of the game because they're so easily countered by a lot of splash troops. Even though they're spawned further apart now, I still feel like they're still way too close together, and they always just get taken out so easily, which is why they're going in D tier. Next we have the Rocket. Rocket's gonna go at the bottom of C tier. I almost put it in D tier, but I realized that it's quite a bit. It does the most damage of any spell to Crown Towers, I think, and because of that reason, you can use it for spells likely, but it's a lot less effective than it was in 2017 and 2016, because it only does 20% of the original damage to Crown Towers. But other than that, it's still a bad spell because the radius is so small. It's really hard to use, so that's why it's gonna go in C tier. Next, we have the Evolved Royal Giant. The Evolved Royal Giant, even though with the nerfs it's gotten, it's still a decent choice for an evolution because the knockback that it gives to troops is still pretty good, and even with that, it's only one cycle. See, every other Royal Giant is that. So next we have the Evolved Royal Recruits. They're gonna go in C tier. I feel like the regular recruits are really bad, and these ones just a little bit better because even with the charge ability, they're still fairly weak, and I don't feel like the actual recruits gun changes other than the dash ability or the charge ability. Next we have the Royal Delivery. Royal Delivery is currently another one of my favorite spells, going in S tier because because it's radius, its damage, and the fact that it's great against taking out things like goblins, minions, and maybe even barbarians if you have the mirror. Next, we have the Royal Ghost. Royal Ghost is going in A tier for 3 elixir. It's like the Knight, but kind of worse because it has actually it's like the Knight, but it has some strengths and weaknesses. Unlike the regular Knight, I'm pretty sure it does more damage and it turns invisible, but it also has a slower attack speed, a little bit less health, and the Knight is not a ghost. Well, with the invisibility feature, it's pretty good, but nowhere near as good as it once was. Okay, Royal Giant. Royal Giant is really annoying to deal with. I'm gonna put it at C tier because it's easy to counter with Skeleton Army, or like Inferno Tower. But other than that, it's still going in C tier because even though it's annoying to deal with, I feel like it gets so easily countered by things like PEKKA, Barbarians, and many other units. Next, we have the Real Hogs. Real Hogs are a decent win condition unless your opponent has to look a bomb tower to hard counter them, so they're gonna go in B tier. Next, we have the Royal Recruits. Royal Recruits are currently a really bad card. I mean, even though it's 7 elixir, and it's basically just, I don't know, it's just really bad because they're very slow. They do very little damage, and their attack speed is low. So yeah, D tier. Next, we have the Skeleton Army. Skeleton Army is gonna go in A tier. It's very useful taking out tanks that can't hit unless your opponent has a zap. So like taking out Royal Giant, Golem, Giant. So yeah. Anyways, next we got the Skeleton. It's gonna go in B tier because it's hard to reach the tower sometimes, but other times it's very decent. So yeah, it's gonna go in B tier. Next we have the Skeleton Dragons. Skeleton Dragons are gonna go in B tier because they're very handy when taking out. I'm gonna move them down to C tier because against skeletons and goblins, they're very good. But they have very low health, which allows them to be taken out by things like fireball, which is a major downside of this card. Next, we have the Skeleton King. Skeleton King is gonna go in B tier. It's a champion, but other than that, I feel like it's fairly weak because it can't hit air. Attack rate's low, and even though I'm pretty sure that was like maybe the most hit points out of all the champions, its ability is still expensive at 2 elixir, unlike some of the other ones. Well, I mean, the Little Prince's ability is 3 elixir, but I still feel like 2 elixir is way too expensive. So I feel like the skeletons are just spawn for or just have 1 HP and can be taken out by like anything. Okay, next we have the evolved skeletons. Evolved skeletons used to be like A tier, but I think now they're down to B tier. If they were still 3 cycles, I would have put them in C tier, but they used to be really good. Wait, never mind, guys. I mean, what I meant to say was they used to be in C tier, but now it's up to B tier because it's now 8 skeletons and 2 evolution and 2 cycles, so it's gonna go in B tier. Next we have the regular skeletons. You can get some insane value on this card, and it's so easy to cycle, which is why it's going in S tier. No question. Next is Sparky. Sparky, I don't really find this a win condition, even though it's meant to be a win condition. But other than that, it's gonna go in C tier because it takes so long to charge up, and if your opponent has things like Electro Wizard, Zap, Lightning, it's just gonna be so easy to counter. Other than that, it's great because it can deal tons of damage and take out many troops very fast. Next, we have the Spirit Goblins. Spirit Goblins are gonna go in C tier as well. I feel like for 2 elixir, they're fairly weak, and they can die to everything, and their damage isn't even that high. You only put them in D tier, and their damage output is extremely low. Sometimes they can be good, but other times they can be really annoying. I mean, really bad. Next, we have the Tesla. For 4 elixir, it's definitely A tier. It's basically like Cannon, but better, or Bomb Tower, but better. Cannon, but better, because it's 4 elixir, and it can target air and ground, which is something the Cannon can't give, and I'm pretty sure it has more hit points, and maybe the same attack speed as the Cannon. Next, we have the Log. Log is going to go in S tier, because it's many people's favorite card in the game, and it's still one of my favorite cards in the game. I don't even have to explain why Log is such a good card. Next, we have the 3 Musketeers. 3 Musketeers are going to go in D tier. They're very expensive at 9 elixir, and they don't have very good synergy because it costs 9 elixir, so you have to wait until like double or triple elixir to play them. And if your opponent has spells, it can be so effective at wiping them out. Next, we have the Tombstone. Tombstone for 3 elixirs, the actually only good spawner. So I'm going to put it in, as that doesn't mean it's great, so I'm going to put it in B tier, because it's great against cards like PEKKA, along with another damage dealer such as Firecracker. But other than that, skeletons are pretty weak, but it only costs 3 elixir, and even though it doesn't have many hit points, I still feel like it's great. So I'm going to put it in B tier. Next is the Tornado. Tornado is one of the best spells in the game right now. It only costs 3 elixir, and you can use it against things like Hog Riders, Goblin Barrels, Battle Ram. Actually, I'm not sure about Battle Ram, but yeah, you know what I mean. There's so many uses you can use this spell on, and it's currently one of the best spells in the game. Next, we have the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie, for 4 elixir, it's going to go at the beginning of A tier. It has a lot of HP, even though it can't hit air. It's still very good at taking out Skeleton Army, Goblins, Goblin Gang, and many other troops. And it's very good on ladder. I see it a lot on ladder commonly. Next, we have the Wall Breakers. The thing about Wall Breakers is they're very fast, and you can split them, so your opponents to do 2 sides, and maybe waste more elixir than they should have. Because of that reason, it's going in A tier. Next, we have the Witch. The Witch is going to go in A tier as well. I'm actually going to put them at the beginning of B tier. I still don't feel like it's good enough to be an A tier, but it's definitely better than the Night Witch, because it can I found it really fun to use and easy to use because the skeletons will distract things, while the Witch herself can damage them. Act as a damage dealer, and she's good against things like hordes of troops. And even though it's 5 elixir compared to the other 2 witches, it's still my favorite witch. next we have the wizard. The wizard is also gonna go in B tier. I feel like it's the same as the witch, but I still feel like that some of the other wizards are better, like such as the electro wizard. So I'm gonna put it in B tier because even though it's 5 elixir, it's incredibly easy to kill with zap and fireball and many other cards that are just so effective wiping out. But that other is enough to make it good because it's good against hordes of troops like barbarians and getting positive elixir trades. Next we have the Expo, one of the most annoying cards in the game and one of the worst cards in the game. I would still put it in C tier because if you know how to use it, it's OP. But if you don't know how to use it, you might as well just quit. Next we have the Zap. Zap's gonna go in at the beginning of C tier. I originally had it in B, but I moved it down to C, simply because the Zap effect is the worst small spell because the Zap effect only lasts for half a second, and it can't even kill goblins. Unlike all the other, actually I'm pretty sure the Rage can't kill goblins. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments if the Rage spell kills goblins or not, but I'm pretty sure it's the only 2 elixir small spell that can't kill goblins. And it's just fairly weak. There's so many better options, like Barbarian, Barrel, and Log. Next, we have the Zappies. Zappies are going to go in C tier. They die really fast, but they cost 4 elixir, and they're bad. I actually moved them down to D, and they're really bad against many hordes. Even though there's 3 of them, I still feel like it shouldn't be 4 elixir. And finally, the last card of the day is the mini PEKKA. Mini PEKKA is going to go in at the beginning of A tier. Originally I had an S, but I'm going to move it down to A because it does quite a bit of damage, but it's weak against Splash. Against hordes of troops. Anyway, that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what you want me to do next. Anyways, enjoy your week, and enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.